Well, I started when I was 3 years old, and it was my passion. Um, and even though I didn't see any females as professional, but still I thought that I could be there and still be in F1. And it was a whole family hobby to watch F1 every Sunday when it came, and then also to race. My brother raced as well, and he's 2 years older than me. And yeah, then it kind of just happened. Even though it was a hobby and we didn't think that, uh, you know, brother or me would become anything or, go as a professional or anything like that. But then when I was 12, I was doing really well and winning a lot. So then it just kind of happened that we started to think that maybe we could reach the international tracks and races. And then, yeah, here we are. Sure, I did. I was, yeah, like I told you, I was watching Formula One, also watching rally, and a lot of Finnish drivers there, and one of my childhood heroes, Mika Häkkinen, as well. But I also liked and loved Michael Schumacher, and he's kind of the determination he had and the attitude, never giving up and doing absolutely everything he can to win. And I kind of resonated that a lot. Um, and then yeah, then there was this one female Finnish female driver as well who was driving locally in Formula 3 called Sanna Pinola. And then I kind of yeah, I was looking up for her as well, like kind of thinking that okay, well she can do it, and she was really good, so why not? And yeah, there's been a lot of drivers who has inspired me, still is inspiring, um, and um, and yeah, not like I've never been a fan of one particular driver, but like many drivers have had those kind of um, yeah, characteristics and that I've enjoyed and liked. It's always fun with Mika doing anything. It's always a blast. He's such a funny guy and also very humble and nice. So it was a true honor as well because he's an amazing racing driver as well. So to hang out there, just enjoying the whole event and the weekend, but then still, racing with him, it was very lovely and nice. I think that competing in different categories, as many cars as you can, is only, developing kind of an understanding for you about the driving styles. And it's more like you need to adapt as a driver to different cars, what you drive. So you need to always think, okay, how is this car? Is it heavy? Is it if it's light? What kind of brakes? If it's rear wheel driven, front wheel driven? If it's four wheel driven, electric, petrol? How many horsepowers? Where the engine is? Where the kind of weight transfer is? All of those things determine the driving style, what you do, if there is aero or no aero, and all these kind of things. So I think that my advantage has been that I've been driving so many different categories and cars, and no matter if it's been sometimes a rallycross car or if it's been other formulas, prototypes, touring cars, all these kind of formulas, because then you get kind of the bigger picture, the wider understanding of everything, and then you can use that in your advantage no matter where you go and drive. So you have that knowledge, and that's probably one of the things that I'm really happy about. And I would like to say to young drivers as well that, just don't get stuck with one thing and only like single seaters, only formulas, just go and drive all kind of cars, because some are maybe afraid that, you know, it will ruin their driving style, but it's more about you understanding what you can do and what you do with your body, and then you can change from car to car, and that's really important in the future. By driving different kind of categories in cars, you develop that understanding, and then you are able to give more feedback if you have that talent in you. You analyze all how the racing is, and what would you need from the car. So I think that's one of the key elements of a talented racing driver, that you can give the feedback, and you could also develop your skills to that level that you can really truly talk and have a conversation with the engineer, so that you together decide the kind of the setup of the car and all that, so that it's not that you just tell how it is and then you kind of rely on the engineer's, you know, choices, but it's more like a conversation, and you have also the capability of making those setup changes, and you know what affects what and so on. Actually, we had this selection process event. We had the selection process. So first, I was headhunted, kind of like I was called, like, okay, would I like to apply? And I was talking to Dave Ryan on the phone, because I was a bit, he's our the racing director. So I wasn't convinced about the series at first. So then I called him, like, what's this? And what cars and what can we do? And can we, you know, all these kind of mechanical details and the championship details. And then he convinced me that it's a real deal, that it's good racing, and they're gonna really select the best, you know, talents there. And it's about an opportunity, and not just, you know, female racing or anything like that. That it's everything else than that it's just an opportunity. And then I was like, okay, well, I can take it, and it sounds good. So then I applied, like everyone else. So we need to send the CVs and everything, and then we were from the applications, they narrowed it down to, I think we were a bit more than 60 drivers in Melk in Austria, in the beginning of 2019. I think it was January. We were there, and then we did different kind of exercises, like with the cars. There were no formulas there, but there was different, like there was Porsche cars, and there were some, I think it was Ford Fiesta, SD, and all these kind of things. And we did different exercises with them. Also, there was fitness tests, some mental tests, presentation tests, everything. They tested us for a week. Then they narrowed it down. They picked 28 drivers to go through the Formula 3 test that they held in Almeria in Spain later, maybe 2 months later. I think it was March. Yes. And there we were driving a couple of days. And then the first day or the second day, they already picked 10 drivers to go through directly to the championship, and I was one of them. And then they still, the last bit, they were still competing of the last 8 spots. And then end of that event, they chose I think, yeah, 8. And then they still were about to decide who are the reserve drivers. So I think there were like 2 to 4 reserve drivers. So, but that was quite nice, because it was based on talent only, and how about the performance, the feedback, how you wear, and how you are as a, you know, how you are to work with, and what your attitude is, and all these kind of things. Yeah, and it felt kind of special that it wasn't about the money. For the first time in my career, it wasn't about the money. So it was actually nice to be only determined by the talent. Actually, not the only time. I've been actually quite lucky throughout my career that I've been selected to different drives since 2007 already. That was my first kind of professional year. And yeah, and it's been because of the talent, but then also those categories that I've driven are not kind of like the FIA Formula 3 and Formula 2 and stuff, because that would have required a lot of backing. Well, the evolution has been very good. It's obviously the cars and the racing side has been more or less the same. So the whole structure of W Series is different from other categories because we are all in the same organization, which is the W Series, and then the cars are run by W Series, and then they have all the mechanics and engineers and all of them there. And then it first year the whole team, kind of the cars and the mechanics and the engineers, they stayed in one team, and then the drivers rotated. So every Thursday when we came to the racing weekend, we took a lottery ticket and then we picked the car. And that was actually quite nice because there are, even though the cars are the same, but still there are differences, always is. So that was actually quite nice that you change the cars all the time. But it was, of course, difficult for the spectators to see who is who and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So then it changed so that the cars are the same for 2021. Also, the mechanics and the engineers were the same. So we were like a team. But then, obviously, those differences between also the people there and the engineers and stuff gave advantage to some drivers more than others. So, and also we rotated then the engines between the first three. So if you were in top three, your engines were changed randomly to some who finished P6 to P16, for example. But then this year, we've gone back to the rotation, but not with cars. So we are stick with one car and mechanic, but then the engineers are picked by lottery every weekend. So we are not allowed to work with the same engineer every weekend. And that's because they want to kind of rule out the fact that some are more experienced and some are not with especially those cars. So it's changed. The racing side has changed a little bit every year. We've stick with the same cars. Obviously, in the future years of W Series, the cars will change to something else, I guess. And then, and yeah, but I don't know about the structure. Will it be then team-based or what it will be, where it will evolve? That one we don't know. But what they've done, the work with the kind of building up the brand, the show, the knowledge of W Series, it has expanded massively. And then they've done an amazing job for whole, I think, female sports field, but also like in female motorsports, and then in the sports and motorsports in general, kind of lifting up the bringing more investment in it and hoping that someone else will. And for us drivers is that's huge because we haven't had the burden of bringing the funding ourselves, and that's, I think, only IndyCar and Formula One and then the W Series from these Formula categories are able to give professional places to the drivers, and that's quite an amazing achievement in 3 years only. Well, it's of course very sad that we needed to do this difficult decision of canceling the last 3 rounds. But when we heard about that, the possibility of that in Singapore, W Series has always been very open to us drivers about what's going on. and they wanted to keep us in the loop no matter what it is, if it's good or bad, or we've always had very honest conversations with the management, and because it's the B series is different from other racing categories. It's like a family. It's a bit and we are all in that kind of together, and because we all the drivers are selected to be there, so we have a mutual respect towards each other, and then that's why the racing also is different. And then we spend a lot of time together during the racing weekends, so then we are kind of not friends, yeah, friends also, but like buddies, and we all get along really well, uh, you know, between the drivers and also the organization. So we were all in that moment together when we were told about the financial difficulties. uh, I think everyone was crying at the point where our CEO really was devastated and said that she feels that she's let us down, and then that she could do better and all that kind of things. And then I said that, well, I've been racing 30 years now, and I can tell you that this is no news. That this is just basic racing world, funding ends. I've been in situations many times during my career that someone has fooled me, someone hasn't paid the money that they've been contracted to do. I've been offered weird seats, and all these kind of things. So that it's a wild world, and we've all gone through that, who's been involved longer than just few years. So I just said that this is normal, and it's part of the deal, and now we just need to work hard. Yeah, this season was very tough, very unfortunate as well. Like unfortunate moments in those places where you definitely don't want them. Like highlighting the Miami weekend, I had incredible space, like the speed and the pace was incredible. I was really, really fast, but then the technical side was just not with me there. I don't know what like happened in the first race in the last lap when I knew that there's going to be one lap more, and then I was, planning on the after the safety car went and we had one lap to go. Um, it all started so well, and I already took like a gap. But then when I went to the third gear, the engine just was like, oh, it just stopped. I was like, no. And then I moved to the side. I was like, no, it's gonna stop now to the start and finish line. And it just nothing happened there, and it just started coughing kind of, and I was like, oh my god. Then it just suddenly started going again, but then I was on the dirty side, and had kind of the tires, everything was gone because I'd been moving away from it. And then of course my mistake in there in the first corner, braking a bit too late because those conditions. And yeah, but then in the last corner of that last lap, everything was good, like just giving a lot of space, thinking, okay, we just now, I'm driving side by side with one it was Marta, yeah, Garcia, and but yeah, then she did a little mistake there and hit my rear wheel and spun me around, and and then it was like from the lead to last in one lap only. That was devastating. And all the second race there as well, like incredible space, that the pace, but then my brakes just failed during the race all the time. All the balance went to the rear. So then in the end, like the last 5 to 6 laps, I only had like real rear brakes, so no front brakes at all. And I was braking, and it was just like, oh, all the time, like handbrake stuff, and oh my god. But then yeah, and then the same thing, the last corner, last lap, and I get spinned around, and then I was just like, okay, now a donut and then go. But then I dropped down from third to fifth, and I was like, that first weekend was just, oh my god. and then only one podium, which is like, I don't know when I've had this bad season the last time. But yeah, it's racing. Also, like other technical difficulties during the um yeah, season. I don't know. I don't want to say it's bad luck because you can always do something about it, but in those situations I could have not done too much, and it just happens. So it's just racing. So you need to kind of just accept it. I don't know, I haven't thought about that, to be honest, because I think it's waste of energy and time to think, because everyone is facing, no matter if you're a female or if you're a guy or whatever, everyone is facing difficulties in the world of motorsports. It's never easy because it's about so many other things as well as than your talent. It's about the funding, it's about being at the right place at the right time. You need to have right people there. You need to succeed in those places. It comes down to politics. It's also about money. It's about so many other things than talent, and so many other things that is things that are out of your control. So basically, I haven't ever thought that it's me being a female. Maybe at some places, because it's always an individual opinion about what people have. There can be stereotypes, uh, presumptions, prejudice, something like that. But then at the same time, it's not my problem to deal with. So I think that if I must say something, maybe a lack of opportunity at some point, but then at the same time, I'm really glad and happy to have been given the opportunities that I've got, and they are many, many more than someone else have ever had. So then I don't know, that comes down to not having too much negativity about to say about that, and being as a mother, like only good things, because it has developed myself as a driver so much. It has brought me patience, kind of the wider understanding, perspective about things. It has developed my uh, teamwork skills, empathy skills towards my team members, kind of everything. So it's definitely made me a better driver. So I don't see it as a difficulties. It's only good things. Well, it depends on W Series. I'm still contracted to W Series, and so it depends on what the future of W Series will bring. Um, but yeah, obviously, there's other options as well, and I've been invited to other options as well to think about it, to test and go through and stuff. So obviously, I will go through all of the options I have, and because you know possibly it can be a situation where I can do both. I can do many different series, or maybe there is no overlap in the races, maybe there is, and then you need to make a choice. But yeah, I still have a lot of confidence for W Series that it will happen. They've been really open for us about the situation where they are at, and since the beginning they've said that it is very likely that it will go ahead 2023 and the years on forward. But then it always takes time to get those kind of big deals as a contract, to be signed. So I know it's a process that takes many months to have those discussions and the changes in the contracts and stuff. Yeah. So we will see when that happens, but there should be some news within like very short time already. So we will see about that. And but yeah, the main goal is of course to stay professional, and then the racing continues no matter where it is.